when I watch a movie, and it's funny because people will be like, well, why do you react like that? Because the sound of kissing in movies to me doesn't sound like kissing. It sounds like someone going,
oh, like getting something out of their teeth. That's
yeah.
how I feel about have you heard what these kids are doing? They're watching mukbangs is what they're called, and it's basically people just get a bunch of food and like sit in their car and eat and try, like, we're gonna try everything on the Taco Bell menu today. And they just sit in their car, dude, and eat all this shit for an hour. And people watch it and they listen to it like ASMR, and that's all you hear is like
oh, you know,
it's the
like I
worst.
will watch movies.
It's the worst.
It's funny because like when I watch things, like my reactions to things are different. Like I'll watch Hannibal Lecter. Like my one thing that I always remember, because I can't watch people eat oysters. That to me is a horror movie, right? So I'm watching. I can't listen to it. I can watch it. I'm watching Hannibal the show, and he's slicing up a leg, and he's eating the liver and the heart and the cooking. It's all like gross, and I'm like just watching. Like, yeah, cool, stabbing people. But then there's one episode where whatever he was making involved oysters, and he starts shucking the oysters and like the salt water, and I'm like, oh my god, tell me when it's over. Oh my god, and I was like, literally, that was my reaction.
Weird.
I was like, I can't watch this. Like, I could watch him cut strips of a man's skin off and eat it, but
should we do live therapy and figure out why that?
No, I just go to
Alex. Let's go back to your childhood.
Yeah.
What about the oyster? Yeah, I think
on camera,
I have that issue watching people eat like spaghetti. Like I feel like there's no sexy way to eat spaghetti unless you're those two dogs in that movie.
Yeah. I was gonna say
those two dogs are the only ones that got it figured out right. But everyone else, you look like a fool. And I hate being out in public, and I hate watching it. It's just like seeing people unironically wear flip-flops in front of me.
So I want to say good morning by the way, to Steve Nara.
Oh,
I'm not feeling well, so I decided to join you guys. That's the review. That should be Steve, our review.
I appreciate that. That has been that'll be on our shared tombstone. Alex doesn't know this yet, but when he dies, we're gonna share a grave.
I'm okay with that.
So we could just stream forever. We'd have a good time. Yeah. We could just they would just play movies constantly on I want to be cremated though. I don't know if you want to be buried.
I mean, you know how about this? I'll get buried alive with Netflix. So,
that's kind of sweet.
Yeah.
Steve Ramos says I actually like oysters, but there's a lot of food out of there that's just gross. I agree. I cannot stand oysters. So that's where we are in the show. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, wherever you are. I don't know. I always forget where everyone is watching from.
I'm right here.
All three of you. So, we really appreciate you guys being here. We really just wanted a place to come and talk about Longlegs and Cuckoo, two movies that have injected themselves into the horror scene, which I do want to talk about a little bit. Alex, like right up top, it's pretty good time for horror. Like I feel like you've got Longlegs, Cuckoo,
Oddity,
yes, which I haven't seen yet. Oh, and then what's the other the one where it's behind the camera's behind the guy and it's like Jason the whole time. It's
not violent something
in a violent nature.
In a violent nature, yeah.
Where you have this renaissance of people and studios taking really big risks on original horror movies, and I think it's a really great time for original storytelling through horror. Which I mean, horror has always had some of the best metaphors, some of the best storytelling, but it's just hidden behind gore and spinning heads and just the genre tag of horror alone, right? Like it's why there's so many movies that maybe are better than some of the best pictures that we've seen, looking at you, Nope and
Barbarian,
Get Out, which almost won an Oscar for it. But I just think it's a really good time for horror right now. And these two movies are evident of that. What do you think, Alex? Do you think are we in a bit of regression? What do you feel?
No, I think it's so, especially because we always bring up like A24 and Neon are the biggest studios pushing forward horror that's not horror, like your regular horror. Like, yeah, The Ring is cool, like Japanese horror, and The Grudge. All the, I'm not going to say the Japanese names because I'll butcher them, but their own genre. But like when we have the mainstream horror, which is, I'm dating myself here, but for the past however many years, it's been Saw and before that was like I Know What You Did Last Summer and Scream, and all those are the horror, like slasher movies,
franchise horror.
Yeah, franchise horror, and then like underneath has always been, and then there's always like the really garbage horror that's just like a bunch of friends like, dude, let me see how much blah, 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 with like they just make it horror. Like, you have snakes on a plane, and then some guys like, oh, let's make snakes on a train. It'll be so much like. So it's like you make these really bad B movie, whatever, and now you have like the indie spirit of people who love the genre, bigger studio money, and like in the middle you have like an artistic lens that they're pushing it through. So now, like, oh, man, I sound like such a hipster saying these things, but it's true.
You do.
Like, yeah, I'm sorry, but it's true. It's like they're taking the indie grossness, the big budgets, and they're pushing it through through like an independent writer, and I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty great.
Yep.
I think it's doing a lot, and we do, as a Steve Nara, Dwayne said, the Pooh movies, the Pooh, the Pooh-niverse. It's like that's more of your
move on.
Dudes. That's just like a bunch of dudes who's like, oh, let's make this movie, man. It'll be hilarious. You know what I mean? So again, they're swinging between them. So I think we're in a good space right now. It's actually been a couple of years. We've been in a good space.
I would agree with that. And even I'd say some of the big movies that are coming out, that are in these big franchise movies, like, like Megan, right?
Yeah.
Like, it is a product of a big studio, but it's still original. Like, at least
hilarious.
It's still original. It is hilarious. Like Abigail, another movie that is like, I feel really slept on because it's so camp and it knows exactly what it's doing, and it's just something that is silly and fun and violent, and what it's just got roots in the genre. So these two movies, Longlegs and Cuckoo, both distributed by Neon. Neon, I feel, does this type of horror better than any other indie studio.
We have to say indie. No.
Yeah, I feel they tend to take more risks and a lot more of their time and their marketing budget to things that are representative of the horror movies themselves. Anyways,
Pete Tano says, I loved Abigail and I don't even like horror. Can I please enable closed caption? Can we do that now?
I don't know.
I don't even know how to do that right this second.
That's a great question. Alex is going to look into that super quick. Well, we say hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome in Fandom Social Live. We're going to be talking about two films, both distributed by Neon, Cuckoo and Longlegs. Both came out this year. One to massive appeal, and one to slightly less appeal, but has sort of been in the works a little bit longer, and we'll get into all that. But while you're here, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you guys have a minute after the show, a comment or anything, a share, it really helps. Again, it takes a second for you, but it lives on in the heart of Alex forever. And the more that you guys do that, it just warms that cold heart of us, the cold little heart that we have from streaming and being on camera for the last half decade. It really warms us. So thank you guys for being here. Hello, Steve. Hello, Liza. Jin, we're working on closed captions. I don't know if we can do that after the fact, but maybe.
I think we could do it after the fact. I don't know if we could do it now.
I don't know if we can do it live. So if so, me and Alex promise to.
I'm literally looking into it and listening and talking. I can do it at the same time.
Me and I can't. That's why Alex is better. We will be as expressive as possible and make hand gestures for you, so you can go back in the video and know that this is when we're talking to you, Jin Edwards. This is this or this from SpongeBob. This is the signal. Yes. Give me the formioli. So welcome in, everyone. Like, comment, subscribe, and the notification bell. Thank you so much. All right, up first, we are going to be talking about a film that is out more recently. It's Cuckoo. It is a movie that Alex, we've both seen it now again. Obviously, we've both seen recently. So I
Yes.
should say, the story is a 17-year-old girl is forced to move with her family to a resort where things are not what they seem. Directed by Tillman Singer, stars Hunter Schafer, Jean Bluthart, Martin
Look at
Sokas,
first
and
of all, let's talk
Dan
about Hunter
Dan
Schafer.
Seaman. Yes. Yeah, we're gonna get into pretty much all of the wins of this. I think there's a lot of wins for this movie.
Mhm.
Again, distributed by Neon. It's kind of been in the festival circuit because everyone knows I'm super pretentious and annoying, and I pay attention to all the festival stuff all the time. I first heard about it at the Venice Film Festival, so almost last year, and people saw it, and I put my espresso down.
Wow.
I took off my cardigan because I was very excited. And then I put on my Joe Vaughn slippers, and I was like, I'm very excited for this movie. And I'd heard nothing but very, very good things about it. So I am let's just put it this way. I enjoyed it. I recommend watching it. Alex, what was your experience with this film?
I went with somebody. And I think I mentioned this like in a previous stream. You can go back and watch all our other streams if you're like, commenting, and subscribing. But I was enjoying myself the entire time. Which is weird to say with a horror movie where there is violence, there is gross things happening, there is just body horror things happening, and I was just having a blast. My friend was just like, "What am I watching? This is weird." And she loves like indie horror and all this stuff like that, but like this, it was too much for her. So my experience is that like I felt like it was half and half throughout the whole crowd. I felt like everyone was having different feelings. So
Yeah,
I don't know. I had a good I thought it was a good time.
Yeah, so Cuckoo, as far as a film goes, it's pretty easy to jump into. The one thing I will say about not only this movie but about both films that I enjoy is there's a level of ambiguity that I think is starting to exist now with filmmakers because of the now generation being more and more prevalent, which I enjoy. Like, I don't need to be spoon-fed everything. I like to make my own assumptions. And then if you do spoon feed it to me, like put it on a big comical Pee-wee's Playhouse type spoon, like Abigail or Megan, right? Where it's just like a big joke. Like, I enjoy that. And I think anything in between is when you start getting like these middling movies like Tarot, right? Like, we're not going to talk about Tarot, but if I'm assuming most of you haven't seen it, if maybe have you seen it, Alex?
No.
No? Okay. It's exactly it. The movie, it comes, it goes, it tries to just get its name in the game, and then it gets out, and it's just a vehicle for people to watch.
Yeah.
Both of these movies, specifically Cuckoo, are not that. I felt now I think it's a good time to bring up our lead, who is Hunter Schafer, who is most notably, if you guys haven't seen her in anything, she is she's gained popularity from the HBO series Euphoria. She plays a pretty troubled, pretty tragic character in that. Almost has horror-esque elements in that show, the way she's treated, unfortunately. And so it's a kind of a natural transition. I felt like, to me, she is the best part of this film, like hands down. When I'm, like with everything, when I watch stuff, I'm like, if she's removed, is this movie better, worse, or does it stay the same? The movie is immediately worse, like with anyone else in it.
Yes. There's only one other character that I think has that element. One other actor character that has that element. And that is going to be Dan Stevens.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, you got to pronounce it right? That was part of the whole thing. Was Erkonich. Like I was like Her Koenig. No, it's like Erkonich. I was like,
yeah.
Like you had to constantly pronounce the name. But I mean, first of all, by the way, the saturation. There's something we have to talk about in this movie. Is the saturation of the greens and blues in this movie are absolutely bananas. But that's a separate story.
Yeah. And I think, that's a good point. Like, those two characters play very like different archetypes in horror, right? and they play off each other really, really well in this. And I think, you know, Elkirch or Dan Stevens,
Yeah.
he is sort of playing like what would be a good comparison for his character? Maybe like something more resonant with everyone if they haven't seen this. Like I was trying to think of this earlier, and he sort of plays like a not Hannibal Lecter, but like an evil scientist.
Right, but he's not like Frankenstein, right? Because Frankenstein, he wanted to be God. He wanted to play God. So he's not that. He's not that. I can't even describe like what kind of thing.
He's you know what he's kind of like? He's kind of like, what's the name of the main scientist in Jurassic Park? That what's his name delivers you were so worried about thinking if you could, you didn't stop thinking if you should.
Yeah. Dr. Ian something.
Yeah, well, yeah. So Ian Malcolm delivers the line to the doctor, but he's like one of those doctors where he's so interested in the pursuit of science, like he'll do whatever he can to get his results and his findings.
The guy who's all excited about showing off his dinosaur eggs. That guy.
Yeah. I can't. You guys all have the internet. You'll tell us in 2 seconds. So, he was pretty fantastic, and in this character, like as that role. And then Hunter Schafer to the opposite is like this girl who moved to another country. BD Wong, thank you.
Germany. She moves to Germany with Erkonich.
Is that your German accent?
I can't do German. It's funny. I can do a German accent because I had a German grandmother who has a German accent, but for some reason I can't do it right now.
I can't do German. My German's not very good.
She moved to Bavaria, and Bavaria has very good chocolate and very nice Keebler elf houses.
And I love in the movie because like obviously Cuckoo, everyone like is this horror movie. I wouldn't necessarily call it like a body horror film, but it is almost like a creature feature. We won't do too much spoiling of it. I don't think we're there because that one's relatively new, but we will spoil Longlegs just as a heads up. So I love in the movie like all the dichotomy of like how like Hunter Schafer is sort of like this, you know, repressed like that's a good way. That's
not doing it.
Exactly. And then like everyone's like all bubbly, like is that your guitar machine? That looks nice. Is that your guitar?
Very nice.
Like,
what you doing? Where are you going? We'll go to the party afterwards. And it's the father is just so excited. The father, who, if you might recognize from many millions of things, including Lord of the Rings, I think he played. Galadriel's husband. Someone in the audience, give me Galadriel's husband's name. Who's talked very slow. Where is Gandalf? But anyways, in the movie, where is? I would very much like to speak with. But he was like having a blast in this movie. And he was like, Erkonich, I've been practicing my German. Aren't you so proud of me? Like, it's cracking me up. And then his wife, who, by the way, like I feel like half these people you could see in something Marvel related because they've Marvel's grabbed everyone from everywhere. But she played Colleen Wing in Iron Fist, who played the mother.
The mother.
What was it? What's the actress name? Jessica Henwick. So and she was great. She was mom.
I like Dwayne. I like the idea. The canon in my head is Dwayne is at a cocktail party, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Alex, you be Galadriel. I'm Dwayne. Where it's just like
tiara.
I assume this is how Dwayne sounds.
Yeah.
Is there Mr. Galadriel?
Actually, there is. His name
that's how I interpreted this comment.
Celeborn Galadriel. Yeah, Celeborn. Celeborn. What a where is Gandalf?
Well, he sounds like he was hit on the head with an anvil, so I think Dwayne's a better fit for him.
Dwayne. Yeah, listen. And speaking of Colleen Wing and Celeborn over here, the daughter. There is a younger sister, and Hunter Schafer's got the older sister. My younger sister sucks. Kind of attitude, like she's got a stepmom.
Freaky Friday, like like Regina George. She doesn't look anything like Regina George, but it's kind of got that teenage chip on her shoulder. I think she's 17 in this film.
Yeah.
You are 17, going on Is that not what it is?
I have no
But
idea.
so they move for mysterious reasons to this beautiful, almost like I thought in my head. I thought this whole time it was a compound, but then you keep forgetting that it is a resort.
Yeah, it's a
That
weird German mountain Bavarian resort. Like
that is horrifying. Like that's my nightmare. Like
isolation.
I just want to say, as like I don't want to play the Latino card in defense mode, but going to rural towns of predominantly like white places in Bavaria, that's a horror movie in and of itself. Jordan Peele's made a career out of it.
You're going to tell me that I would feel comfortable in Germany, in isolation in Germany with mad
Name
scientists?
one thing.
One thing.
Yeah,
but,
one thing.
But we have things here.
That it literally makes me so nervous. But I think that level of isolation, and also in the trailers for all these, the amount in both of these films that they kind of keep close to the chest keeps people interested. So
it's like slowly unpeeling that onion.
Mm-hmm. What would you say, Alex, or like, because again, we both heard about this one, like now that it's out, what do you feel are some of the more interesting elements of this film that have either helped you sell people on this or not help, or like helps you realize that you liked this movie? Because I think we can both say, right, we like this movie. So
well, I'm gonna steal this from Steve when I go to start selling it on people, that if it's Bavarian or the plot twists actually plot pretzels. I do appreciate that really bad joke, so I'm gonna use that when I sell it to people. But I would sell it to people as it's hard. I'd be like, it's hard to fully describe whether I'm watching a creature feature or a body horror, and it presents you with it. By the way, the scenery is, in my opinion, another character, because everything there looks amazing. But like just something that's going to unfold slowly, and it's like when you eat something and like every flavor starts hitting you at once, and then that last flavor, you could be like me if that last flavor is cilantro.
Okay.
I'm trying to Larry David
it. Quesadilla.
If that last flavor is cilantro, I hate it. But for like 60% of the world, that last flavor is cilantro, they'll love it. So as these flavors are unfolding themselves on you, you're either the cilantro people or you're the I hate cilantro people. So
Good point.
That's how I explain this movie to people. Like it could be like, this is amazing everywhere, and I'm going to get to the bottom. I hate it.
Well, let's try to unpack that a little bit. Why? Sorry to go into full podcast mode and host mode, but like, why do you think that this movie in particular and those elements, because I agree with you 100%, are so divisive? Like, I think I know what parts are divisive, but I'm curious as to what parts you feel start splitting people, in one route or the other, in cilantro or non-cilantro.
It's hard to lay it out without doing too many spoilers. Right. But the psychological parts of it, the family dynamic, right? Because she is, Hunter Schafer is this grumpy teenager with a stepmom, with a younger stepsister who's got, special needs. So like, oh, everyone's pining over her and I can't do anything right. And like that part of it. And then there's the mystery part of it. Like, as what the heck is going on with these? There are rules in place in this movie. There are kind of rules that are set. They're not so many, but like, and you're like, what is going on? You don't know who you're trusting. You don't know what's happening. You don't. It's just that when they start revealing some of the bigger reveals, that's where you're either like, I was like, and my friend was like, and you know what I mean? So it's like, it's hard to do without spoiling it, right? Because I think, oh wow, Stephen R. just called me out. Team cilantro, my genes work. Yeah, I know.
Same, brother.
Good for you. But
big C's up.
Yeah, but without spoiling it, I can't say the thing, but there is like a couple of reveals, and then like I feel like that goes away when you get into the body horror stuff, and then I feel like that will bring people that might not love it back into it. You know what I mean? But yeah, there's a couple of like yeah, I don't want to say, it's hard to say, but I think there's a couple of big reveals as to what the center of everything is.
Okay.
Either that's the cilantro, what the center of it all is, like what the main thing is.
Yeah, so
It's so hard.
Yeah, because I thought about this and I was like, I know we're not going to spoil it. So how I framed it was, when you look at movies, right, you're like the what, or I usually start in my brain with like who, who do we care about,
right?
What are they doing, and then why are they doing it?
Right.
So each of those are very key components, and like normally, some people are out on who.
Yeah.
Like they're like, I don't like Dan Stevens. I don't like this character. I don't like Nick Cage. Yeah. So they're out there. You can get past that barrier. It's the what, like what's all happening? Like, okay, what are you seeing in front of you? And at that point, I'm still in. I'm like, I don't understand what's happening. I enjoy some of the horror of it. There's some scenes in this film. I think it's actually in the trailer where Hunter Schafer's like got her headphones on and she's like on her bike listening to probably Deftones or whatever kids listen to these days, and she's going, and then like she's getting a reflection, right, from the
a shadow. That's in the
shadow.
trailer.
Oh my god, I couldn't think of the fucking word.
That's
shadow.
what sells a lot of people on this, is that scene with the shadow where she's riding, she's chilling, and like
she's riding on her bike, and then you see the shadow of her bike, and then you see the shadow of her bike and a hand, and then a hand gets closer and closer, and then she like, and then in the trailer she turns around and it cuts there, but you do see what is chasing her. So the what of everything, like what is happening, how are they framing it, the devices they're using to scare you, like I was completely sold on that. But for me, where I can see people start getting lost, to Alex's point, I basically just said everything Alex said, but much longer, is the why. Like Dan Stevens' character, why is he doing what he's doing? Why is the detective, not Martin
Detective German man?
Yeah, Jan Bluthart.
Yeah. Look at him.
Like, why is he doing what he's doing? I think it all just it's really where you start getting divisive, because Cuckoo, in my opinion, doesn't follow a lot of narrative devices that you really see in this type of film. But the why, which is usually the third act of the film, it starts getting a little bit more traditional. Yeah. And I can see that is where. All right, Jen can't hear us. I forgot.
You can't hear us, so she thinks you are doing jazzercise, right? And then this is the guy at the front who's actually like, okay, now you go to pump your arms, pump your jazz.
It's like going. It's like, all right, we are coming up a mountain.
Yeah,
now up. Okay, up. Yeah.
Well, you've gone away from jazzercise. Now you're in spin class. But anyways,
oh right. Honestly, it's all
So like the why, this is like the why, like the Dan Stevens, the scientist, the whatever, the whole thing. It's like even the why. You say it's traditional. I say it's like you understand. He explains everything, and you're still like, that's still weird.
Yeah. Right.
Even after he explains, you're like, I still don't understand why.
But in my head, I'm like, that's also part of the point. That's the part of that, which we will get into in full spoilers with Longlegs, because I feel very similar about the why of a lot of these characters. But kind of putting a bow on Cuckoo here. Alex, my last question, I like to just, different than you, I enjoy talking to the people around me every once in a while when I watch a movie that I really like. When it's over, right, of course.
Yeah.
But I like to think Pete Tano's comment. Read that up. Pete Tano says, now I'm going to imagine this movie is a very demented Peloton session. What you just described is of every Peloton session.
Now we're gonna cool down for 2 minutes.
Okay, you piece of trash. Do you want to get fit like me, or do you want to look like you? I enjoy that now. Thanks, Pete. That's why I don't know what the hell jazzercise is. That's why I had to go to spin class.
Yeah,
I just know that Allison Brie was in that. Allison Brie? No. What's her name did that show on Apple TV called like Get Fit or something. Anyways, is I always like to ask people like, how do you feel? It's always a weird question. Like after you watch this movie, like, how do you feel? Like, what did you think when you left? And I got some interesting answers after watching Cuckoo. And some, one girl who she was very, very sweet, but she wasn't. She wouldn't. There's no one here, right? It's just us. Like she wouldn't shut the fuck up. Like she just kept talking the entire time, dude. And but very, very nice. But she kept like talking to her friends, like, "Can I get like the M&Ms? Can I get?" And we're just like, "Oh my god, dude, like stop." But so I was like, clearly you have a lot to say. So how did you feel leaving this movie? And she said something interesting. She said to me that she felt like the movie already is misunderstood, and she felt gross leaving the movie.
That is,
and I get that
100% gross.
I understand feeling gross after leaving this movie, because like how I felt was like I felt unsatisfied.
Okay.
And but that's not a bad thing. Like, again, I don't like it kept me thinking and kept me wanting more. That's how I felt. How did you feel when you left Cuckoo? Or like, what was the overall vibe of people like when you left? Like, does anyone care?
There was like you could see it. And we weren't all talking to each other about it, but people were like whispering, like, what's going, like, what is happening? And like, I was like, man, that is like a good gross feeling for me. And it sounds weird to say that, but it was a good gross for me. Like, it was like, I feel like this did its full job as a horror movie to make me question a lot of things and made me super uncomfortable at the same time. I left there still uncomfortable. Because like I said, when we talk about Dan Stevens' why, he gives you the why, and you're still like, why? But what? Like, I understand why, but why?
Yeah.
But why? You know what I mean? So like, you know, it's like I like feelings like that. It's like, you know,
I agree. We so that's Cuckoo, a film that we both enjoyed. Again, that was kind of a bit of a spoiler-free version of it. We didn't talk too in depth about a lot of the plot, but just think about what a cuckoo bird is known for, and that's relatively what the plot's about, but with people. So that'll do with that what you will, or ask Steve. He read the wiki page, so it's clearly out there. But yeah, so with that, if you guys are still with us, thank you. Happy Saturday. We appreciate you being here.
Happy Saturday. And don't forget, you know, if anyone new has joined, to like, comment, subscribe. And we're going to move into our Saturday Longlegs.
We are coming off the mountain, and we are not
on
Peloton anymore. Put hats down. And now we're back in America, good old US of A. And we're going to get real weird because now we are finally getting to talk about, like, together and on camera, Longlegs. Longlegs,
the poster
starring Micah Monroe, Nicolas Cage, written and directed by Osgood Perkins. A film that it has had so much hype and press around it. Again, if anyone's like not super aware, Osgood Perkins, you know, he's kind of a legacy child. His mom was a model, and his dad was and his dad was in it wasn't Norman. Was it Norman Bates?
Norman Bates.
He was Norman Bates. Yeah, he was Norman. Yeah, he was Norman Bates in the original.
And so clearly, you know, Norman Bates must have been like, "Hey, I want you to watch this demented horror movie that I'm going to be in. Watch it. You'll be psychologically fine for the rest of your life." And then made this movie.
And he hasn't really done a ton of stuff to this level. Osgood Perkins. I want to spend another couple minutes on Osgood Perkins because I think it's really important to understand the film. So, Alex, if you don't mind, I'm going to just kind of briefly go into why I think it's important to understand him. So he had a troubled relationship with his dad. Again, I always forget his dad's name.
Anthony Perkins.
Anthony Perkins, I believe, was famously was gay, and he died of AIDS at a time that it was not well known. His dad had an entire secret life and kept it from his wife and his family and his friends, and obviously Osgood himself, and his mom.
Friends.
Oz to his friends, yes. And his mom also had a pretty interesting career, pretty stable, middling, some would call it in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, she passed away in during 9/11. She was on one of the United flights.
Really?
And yeah, so she died at a pretty pivotal time in Oz's. He hasn't emailed me back yet, so I'm gonna stick with Osgood.
Okay.
Oz not good sometimes, and she died at a pretty impactful time in his life when he was like writing films. And I think, when you're 11 or 12 and you start understanding your relationship with your parents, and she stopped seeing them as these like ATMs and as these authority figures, and sometimes as real people. And like he lost her at that time. And a lot of his films are circle around understanding the relationship of self-degradation, loneliness, and at the center of it all, I can hear Sigmund Freud's weird, pointy, devil-like ears pointing up. Mothers. So
moms.
It's like always trying to understand a relationship with his mother that he's never had. So if you haven't watched this film, you're about to basically watch it, because me and Alex are going to talk about it. If you have, we'd love for you to chime in and let us know what you thought about it, because I feel like it's hard for me. Can you bring up the poster again real quick, Alex?
Yeah, because Jim was mentioning the poster. And this is not the only poster. There was a bunch of them, and they were all equally disturbing. Not a single one of them was not disturbing.
No, they were all pretty crazy. And that's Alicia Witt down there at the bottom. She's pretty great. Again, she's in all kinds of stuff. But I think the original Dune, she's an urban legend. She's in all kinds of stuff.
She's the baby Dune. She's baby Dune from the first one. Yeah.
Baby Dune. And yeah, so very similar, like we were mentioning with Cuckoo, another film that doesn't spoon feed you anything. It really, really makes you work for it. Much harder and much less formulaic than I feel Cuckoo was. I feel that this film was not as I don't know, it's hard to say. What do you think, Alex? Do you think this film was more divisive than Cuckoo?
I think,
honestly, and is that only because it's more popular?
I think that's a funny thing. Is like I think it's just as divisive, but more, like you said, more people have seen it.
Yeah,
because it's both the blessing and the curse of having Nicolas Cage in your movie.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because this was a movie that, oh my god, you put Nicolas Cage in it, and it takes it to like a whole other situation. You know what I mean? But it also brings more people in, puts more butts in seats. So,
totally.
It I think because of that, it feels more divisive. But I think on the level, it was basically.
Yeah, and let's we're gonna start getting into like the actual film itself. So, Longlegs again originally came out about I think 2 months ago now.
Yeah.
Here's the bio from it. In pursuit of a serial killer, an FBI agent uncovers a series of occult clues that she must solve to end his terrifying killing spree. Directed and written by Osgood Perkins, who we just talked about at the top, starring Micah Monroe, Nicolas Cage, and Blair Underwood. Micah Monroe sort of becoming a scream queen in and of herself. Do you have a picture of Micah?
I have a picture of everybody.
Micah Monroe. So, if you didn't know, she's from like It Follows, The Guest, and like The Fifth Wave, I think. And she's also in a film that I watched called God is a Bullet. Incredible actor. But It Follows is really, I think, where she really kind of popped onto the screen.
But her thing is, when they put her in a horror movie, it's really a whole other thing for her, because she just has her face. It's so funny. I'm not saying her face screams horror, but she can do such a good panicked face. I even saw like Significant Other, which was both good and silly. I saw The Stranger.
Stranger is the other one. Yeah.
Tao, which is a sci-fi movie about getting trapped in like a scientist's like AI house. Like
she's in Honey Boy too. She plays Sandra in Honey Boy. I was just looking
so
at.
She's in a lot of movies where she gets this opportunity to show off her acting chops, where she's just, ugh. But
yeah,
she played it so. And again, it was directed so perfectly. She played it so like deadpan half the time, like that. She just looks like a walking trauma stick. She just looks like everything that happened to her in entire life. She just walked to work like, you're like, oh.
Yeah. She plays almost a little bit. Is it neuroatypical? I think maybe is the right word.
Yeah.
Neurotypical, whether it's Asperger's or she has some form of OCD or even autism. And it's not on accident. Again, Os Perkins himself has self-diagnosed and been like, everyone's got something at this day and age, and he really wanted to put that in the film.
Where on the spectrum,
putting her on the spectrum. Thank you, because he felt as someone like she is already isolated her whole life. He didn't even want the audience to relate to her. And I'm like, God damn, that is brilliant. And you did a good job, because it is hard to watch her. Because once you get to Blair Underwood, who plays her boss, let's start here. Blair Underwood can still get it.
Absolutely. Has never stopped looking good. And if you don't know who Blair Underwood is, I don't even know where you are. I didn't even watch LA Law, and I know he was on like every episode of like 800 episodes of that, but he's been in so many great movies, including Origin. He was in Origin as like the publisher. He was in a lot of more recent movies too. He has not stopped working. He's in so many things. So if you don't recognize him, anyone in the audience, if you say you don't recognize him, I will give you a glaring look.
So like Blair, him and Cage are both vampires. They haven't aged, and I think they're almost in their 60s now. Yeah. Blair Underwood is almost like this human character that you're the only one that you're supposed to relate to, because he's like relatively normal. Micah Monroe's character gets put through this psychological test where she gets 5 out of 10 or 4 out of 8 correct. And he basically is like, well, half of a psychic's better than no psychic. And he's just a guy that's trying to solve this crime, what appears to be serialized, but they can't seem to find a pattern. And then they start getting these almost Zodiac-esque notes.
That was a big thing too, right? Like, because when people were talking about like what does this movie feel like, right? It's kind of like you're mashing up, because everything has parts and inspirations. Like you had this feeling of like Twin Peaks, and this feeling of Seven and Zodiac. So you had all those, and then they're just like, we're gonna put this whole Nick Cage part in, and you're gonna like, what? So it's like they have all these things. So when you go into it as any person watching this horror movie, you're like, and so I can't believe I missed Silence of the Lambs too, because she gives off such Silence of the Lambs too. Clarice Starling, but like you're getting all of these elements that are familiar, and and even when you're uncomfortable, because her acting makes you uncomfortable, right? And then Blair Underwood, so just bring back to them playing off each other. Blair Underwood is too like easygoing guy having a drink at the office. Let's go out.
Right.
Let's do the thing. Oh, I'm gonna go. Oh, I gotta go see my wife and kids. And then make him. She is so like, I'm gonna go home and file some papers in order. And so like to have them together makes you uncomfortable for her, even though she's making you uncomfortable.
In the best way possible.
Yes.
Everyone in this movie is out of place.
Yeah.
Everyone in this film is like unsure how they got to this place where they all have to interact. And it starts becoming more and more clear. So essentially, you learn that at a young age, Micah Monroe's character has been visited by the infamous Longlegs, also
Can I
known
bring up his
as
picture?
the man downstairs. Are we revealing him now?
Oh, we could wait. We could wait. We could peel that onion, but
So the movie starts very creepily with another thing that is very interesting, and it's such a perfect correlation between the two, because he starts doing that, like this thing, Alex,
yeah,
cuckoo, cuckoo,
yeah,
and he does it in the opening scene, and it becomes
yeah.
more and more evident later as you go on that it's just this like weird tactic. And cuckoo birds notoriously like leave their babies with someone else to raise them for them while they go and just keep doing it. It's almost like parasitic, and
It is horrible because sometimes they will go into nests of smaller birds, drop their giant ass egg in there. The thing wakes up, and this I learned from from other books that have used this idea, this tactic. Wakes up and looks at its two little step siblings and pushes them out of the nest to their death. The parents come home like, oh, I guess we only got one kid, and feed. Oh God, cuckoo birds are horrible animals. They're beautiful.
That's actually
horrible.
what Alex did. How he got this hosting gig.
Yeah.
We had a couple of professional hosts, and he just came in, planted his egg, and said, "Get out,
Get out,
get her done." But I don't honestly. I think we can keep talking about your eggs if you like, but let's not. So in this film, you start getting more and more indication that Micah Monroe's character is a little psychic. She's got some sort of connection to like a sixth sense almost, but it's very grounded. She's not like, she's
flashing visions.
not Professor X. Yeah, she's not doing nothing like that. And
it almost seems intuitive.
She even explains it where she said it feels like a weight is like pushing her towards something,
right?
Like it's heavy. And then when she finds the thing that she's looking for, the weight lifts.
Right.
So she goes in the direction that, like, I think she wants to remove the weight, is how she explains it. Is that right? Did I explain that right?
That's basically the essence of it.
Yeah.
Do you even lift weights, bro? The weight lifts her.
Weight lifts her. And can we, dude, like, so this movie, I want to say, I mean, we're bouncing all around here. We're completely not following any of the scripts or anything we wanted to talk about, but the first time in this movie, and in a minute that I was a little like, I was pretty scared, was in the very beginning. You've got Micah Monroe's character, and she's got her partner, and they're looking for this guy who killed his family. And they're like, we think he's here, but no one knows. And she just like turns around, and it's like, she turns around almost like scared to move. Like she knows what's happening.
Right.
And like she feels that wherever she's going, it's bad. So she's walking up to the house, and her partner's there. And then they're like, oh shit, I think this guy's in this house. Mind you, this is all completely unrelated to Longlegs, I think, at this point. And her partner just like knocks on the door. You hear the door creak, and then bam, the loudest gunshot, and it like blows her partner's brains out.
Insane.
And you really get that good Micah Monroe face, because it's almost like a one shot on her as she's like terrified. She has her gun, and she's looking for this guy in this house. And there's virtually no music. It's just all creaky and cracky.
Plastic.
Let
me tell you, they do the horror. This is why I say they do like all these. They take a lot of horror tropes where she's walking alone, where there's a murderer in there, and there's the plastic sheeting. Of course, the house is under construction with plastic sheeting everywhere, so it's like you see shadows. Oh, and it's like just they take the typical horror thing, and they give that to you at first, which honestly is, and I know I'm stepping on your thing here, but like it's honestly too comforting, they comfort
Yeah.
you by thinking this is going to be straightforward. Like, oh, wow, they're in a thing. And she's looking around and, oh, I know where the killer is. And, oh, they killed my partner. And, oh, she walks in the creaky and the horror and the whatever. We know she's going to be fine because it's the very beginning of the movie. Totally comfortable. You're like, oh, this is too easy, this horror. I can easily digest this horror. Oh, my God. This is what I'm saying. It's a bait and switch, man. They really wreck you in this movie.
Well, and then it is a bait and switch because, normally how this is supposed to go in horror movies is she goes and she finds him and she has a confrontation and she says freeze and she shoots him and then she's awarded and people are like, we need someone like you to help us with this case. But that's not what happens.
No.
She goes into this movie. I mean, she goes into this house and she's looking for him and it's so tense because also, and another thing about this movie that Osgood Perkins, I feel, and his entire DP and cinematography team do is they frame Micah Monroe. There's that rule of thirds in movies, and she's almost very seldomly in the center. So what that makes you believe, the theory behind it is, if you didn't know this, the rule of thirds, right? It's we as Americans read left to right. And so most important, secondarily, the secondary level of importance is always on the left-hand side, where for you guys, it would be here. The most important thing is obviously centered, and the least important thing is always on the other side. They always put Micah Monroe off to the side and never in the center. So your eyes psychologically are just always looking back to the middle. And there's another scene later on that we'll talk about. Yeah. Where there's an entire area of blank space behind her, and it's one of the most chilling scenes because you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah.
Anyways, she's in this. She goes up the stairs and she finds this guy, and he just puts his head up. He just puts his hands up, and he just like looks back at her, and he smiles, and then that's it. And then the movie moves on.
Yeah.
And she's like, she hasn't gotten rid of that feeling and that level of not understanding and violence and unsatisfactory, like you're unhappy with how a situation in the movie turns out. Starts there. It starts very early on in the movie, I feel.
It does. And it like I said, they set you up thinking that you're in a regular movie. You're watching a regular typical, and they keep bringing you back there. They keep bringing you back there like, oh, this is familiar. Oh, she's on the floor trying to decode the thing. You're like, oh, that's familiar. That's like watching, like what we talking about, Zodiac. Oh, we're watching Zodiac. Oh, we're watching Silence of the Lambs. She's trying to put the clues together, but it's never that straightforward, especially when she starts remembering things, right? Yeah. And that's another tool that Osgood Perkins uses. With memory, they bring the video to 4:3 instead of 16:9.
True.
Instead of widescreen, so all the memories are back. But she starts remembering things that she's probably not supposed to remember. But this is, I guess, the path of it all. And can I bring her mother up real quick?
Yeah, Alicia Witt.
Alicia Witt as the mother. She actually a little tie into Twin Peaks. She was in the Twin Peaks: The Return.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah,
I've never seen that.
But she is a whole other fantastic character in this, even though she's not fully on screen the whole time. She is mom, right? We talk about the parental relationship. She is mom that daughter does not understand, and daughter has, and like there were parts of this movie where she's calling her mom on her. By the way, it's all like 90s,
it's
phones.
It's Bill Clinton is president, so it's the 80s, 90s,
yeah,
90s.
So it's a 90s. So it's like she's picking up her little cordless phone to beep with the clicking, and she's calling her mom, but you don't hear the other side. So half the time I'm like, or you do hear, sometimes you do hear, sometimes you don't. I'm like, is this real? Is this really happening?
No, I think you're right. I don't think we see the mom until the second act.
Yeah. And it's like, so you're constantly like, what you're looking for, where the weird is going to be, because your brain is trying to fill in the blanks that this movie is purposely retracting from you. It's purposely like, let me give you this idea. Maybe is the secret here? It's like, look, pick up my sleeves, and you're constantly looking for what it's going to be, and they never give it to you. So you're filling in the blanks with your head, and it gets so much worse.
Yeah, it gets pretty bad, and then you move on. there's a lot that happens in this film. So we'll kind of just rapid fire through some of the bigger beats. But essentially, you find out that Longlegs, who again is Nicolas Cage's character, he is leaving Zodiac-esque notes, and he's left them before, and he's leaving them for Micah Monroe. She gets one, and specifically for her. And I think the horror and the level of unpredictability really ramps up once you get to Micah Monroe's like cabin, and she lives there, and it's like another level of isolation because she's
with so many windows.
She's isolated from everyone, but she's got all these windows. Everyone can still kind of see her, and she's still like a little strange, and she does things oddly that make you upset, but like she's not normal in the movie, so like why would she do things this way? And she has no reason to be scared up until this point. But then she gets a letter, and she thinks she's got motion lights, and she thinks she sees something, and she goes outside. And do we have that? Like, you know, the picture that they used, Alex, to promote that the VOD is out?
No, wait, no.
So there's a really great, it's the image that they used on their Instagram that it shows essentially the exact scene I'm talking about, where it's kind of one of the first times you get to see Longlegs interact with something. And he's around, but it's not really super crucial at that point, is the best way I can phrase it. But once you see that, you see him in the back, you see him in her place as she runs outside with her gun, and she's looking for him. And
okay, I'm trying to find the image, see if I can find it.
Yeah, it's like one of the main images on their Instagram right now, so you guys can also see it. It's just Longlegs film, I think. But that image shows she's outside, and you see Longlegs in the back, and he leaves her a note, and it's encrypted, and she goes through I think it's Dante Alighieri's Circles of Hell. No, it's not Dante Alighieri. That's Dante's Inferno. I don't know who it is, but it's a book called like Circles of Hell, and she figures it out, and she figures out it's an algorithm, but it's a triangle, but it's an upside down triangle, and she finds out that all of the birthdays and all the people that were killed, all of the young girls at this point, all of their birthdays were on the 14th, and then it's pseudo revealed that her birthday is on the 14th.
Yeah, because I feel like they keep like mentioning like, oh, your birthday's coming up soon. Your birthday. I feel like that happened a couple of times beforehand.
Man. Yeah, and so her birthday's coming up, and then that sort of ties it into how it's relevant, why Longlegs is starting to essentially pop up now in her life again. Because in the very beginning of the film, you see just sort of the face. You see just this part.
Do you want me to get that picture? Because I can get you that picture.
That's a creepy picture. It's almost it's actually this picture for everyone who wants to see it. It's this one.
Oh,
right.
That's the first jump scare for me.
Where you see him and he's talking to a young girl. Well, that young girl he's talking to in the beginning of the film is Micah Monroe's character.
Yeah.
And that's really when you hear his Longlegs voice, which to me is so creepy because it's Nick Cage.
He is such a horrible human being because of the things he does.
Have you like? I've been practicing it. Like I
have not been practicing it.
It's like he drops like his voice down here, but he still talks very nasally. Hi, and he talks like very like, hi, little girl, happy birthday. And it's like really weird, and it's almost.
You ready for the picture, everybody? I'm gonna let you keep talking, and I'm gonna jump scare everybody while you're having the conversation.
Hi. He's like, happy birthday, young girl.
Well, like almost early birthday.
Like, oh yeah, happy almost birthday. And that's how he sounds.
Out of nowhere, this comes. Out of nowhere. You want to talk about the biggest jump scare? Is that face coming out of nowhere. You're standing there and it's dead silent, and she's looking, and all you hear is the wind, and you turn around and it's hi. And I'm like, oh,
that's the way that I thought about it was it reminded me of someone who hasn't spoken in a year.
Yeah.
And every time that he talks, it's very Liza, it's supposed to be cut off.
It's supposed to be cut off. This is how you see it.
You don't That's the only way you see his character until the very end of the movie, essentially.
Yeah, like halfway.
Is verklempt.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But it sounds like someone who hasn't talked in a while. It sounds like someone who doesn't talk normally to people and doesn't understand traditional social cues and how to speak to folks. And it's very unusual. He being Osgood Perkins has come out and said that this movie is very influenced by glam rock because it's so performative. And he's like, it is almost like a shell of something that has its own, like, it's got its own purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And he felt it was perfect for this movie. And there's a lot, what is it called? Dinosaur? There's I forgot the name of the band, but it's like a band that he was listening
T-Rex.
to.
I love T-Rex. Fronted by Mark Bolan.
Dude, the lead singer looks like Longlegs. Like, he is creepy looking himself.
Mark Bolan is a creepy looking person.
And Osgood Perkins, being the fucking creep that he is, would play T-Rex in reverse while writing this music. And a lot of the soundtrack of this film is of early
70s, like 80s
like
rock.
70s, 80s rock that is played in reverse. And someone just found out, Alex, I don't know if you even know this because I just discovered this today, that someone found like they're playing with the idea of like rock and roll is like satanic during the Satanic Panic.
Yeah, because this takes place during the 90s, which is the height of Satanic Panic, which is when Judas Priest and Ozzy Osbourne,
Mm-hmm.
well, I mean, that was before them, when they were playing records back in courtrooms saying that these are the reasons why kids were killing themselves. And
in reverse, saying like Led Zeppelin in reverse. Well, some of the music in this is like cut words from different glam rock. And when you play it in reverse, it says, "Thanks for watching Longlegs. Please give us a good review on Rotten Tomatoes."
Oh, that is hilarious.
It's so good because they're playing with the idea of like there's satanic messages in reversed rock and roll music. And so Osgood Perkins is just being sort of,
in the court case against Judas Priest, and I watched this was a big deal because I grew up a metalhead. Like, he's like, what is this backwards message, Shay? And someone can correct me, right? So if anyone can correct me, that'll be great. But he basically, the message that they recorded backwards was like, I asked her for a peppermint and she gave it to me, or something like that. Or I asked her for a peppermint and she didn't have one. That was what Judas.
That sounds like Satan to me.
Yeah. And they were playing the record, and even the judge was like, are you absolutely crazy? Because they would play a record and they would pause the record. They would stick their finger on it to pause it. And every time they hit it, it sounded like it was saying, do it. Because it was a sound of music. And he was like, even the judge was like, no one's saying the word do it. Stop it. You're really reaching.
As he's like, as the judge, it like smash cuts to him, like, well, this is a waste of our time. Anyways, and he starts putting eyeliner on. He's like, I've got to get going.
I got Alice Cooper tickets.
Yeah. But like, anyway. But that's funny because that is important to understand in this film. Like, it is poking fun at the folks who believed that all that shit was real. And you had so much, like, what is that line from Detroit Rock City when he's like, do you know that your children are listening to Kiss? Do you know what Kiss spelled backwards is? Sick. Do you want them listening to Sick?
And Kiss is like knights in Satan's service. And like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm just watching a spoiler alert.
One's a cat. So, yeah. I mean, they're not that fucking hardcore.
Spoiler alert, I'm watching freaking The Boys season 4 finally, and there's that whole scene where the preacher's like, Starlight, her name is Starlight is 9 letters. You turn it upside down, it's 6. And Annie, January, that's another 6. That's 12, which is 6 times 2. So that's 666. Yeah. All the evidence you need. And this is, by the way, it's funny that they're making fun of this, right? It is. It's also like when you watch
the devil will dance tonight.
Yeah. And like you watch even like to bring the MCU back because they're everywhere, but like you're watching Captain America the Winter Soldier, like they took all these conspiracy theories and they're like, this is really happening in in the MCU. Like all these conspiracy theories about the government, the watch list, and social, it's happening. And Iron Man 3, where they're like, oh, they took the theory that, Osama bin Laden was an actor hired by the government. And they made that the point of the movie where like there's an actor hired by the government as the real terrorist. So I love when that always gets me when they take this wild thing and they're like, we'll make a movie where that's real. So with Satanic Panic, during the height of Satanic Panic movie, where all of this is really kind of happening, we have Satanists doing all this crazy stuff. It's for me, it's like it's golden goose for me. Like I can live off that for years.
I agree.
Yeah.
So like we were mentioning earlier with Cuckoo, how again, just speaking for myself, like how I always view movies is like the Who, right? So you've got Michael Monroe's character. I don't even count Longlegs into the Who of it all because you really don't understand him, even by the end of the film. And then when they do pretty much give you a bit of exposition on him, makes no sense.
Everything.
But I think it's on purpose, and I'll get into that in a second. But the real big part is the what for me in this movie. Like, I think that's the thing that I focused on. Also, I feel what it was most divisive about this film because I'm sorry, like I'm going to jump over to the smell of Bengay land with all of the Gen X and all of you folks out there, because I know I'm the youngest one here. But my generation really has ruined movies like Longlegs because of like expectations to understand everything. And then as soon as the movie's over, going to, what is it, New Rock Stars or something? Everything you missed in Longlegs explained.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah, man. What's the point of that?
This movie purposely does, provides misdirections, and it does things so that the what of the film, what is happening, is just as confusing as the why. If you're doing that, if you're only viewing it on the surface and you're viewing it as like a horror movie about Satan and this guy Longlegs,
yeah,
if that's what you're taking as the movie, you're going to be like, I don't like the movie at all.
Yeah.
And to their point, like, sure, if you can't make that movie exciting for that surface level of folks who like don't want to look into the iconography and don't want to obsess over it like me and Alex do, like, then sure, it's fine. Then it's not for you. Then like I understand why people are like, movie was mid, not the greatest horror movie of all time.
I get it.
Yeah,
but
I do too.
Because they gave you so much surface horror, and they just kept ripping they gave you all the digestible horror, and then they just ripped it out from under you every single time, and they just made it so weird. I'm very upset.
And to Dwayne said, I hate those type of sites. I do as well. I've said it publicly. I've said it sometimes to people's faces who run those channels at Comic-Cons because we've worked with them. I think, those minute by minute, second by second breakdowns of trailers are one of the worst things to happen to pop culture in general in movies. And I think that is also playing into the point of why the marketing for this movie was so close to the chest, why you don't see Nick Cage, why you don't really know a thing about the movie. They didn't ramp up their marketing until like 2 days before, dude. Because everything before that was just like a trailer for Longlegs, and all it is are screenshots of the pictures that Michael Monroe's characters look at. I went back and I watched all of them. There's nothing in there. There's nothing in there. And there were a couple of like symbols, but the symbols don't mean anything if you don't have the key, and you don't get the key until you watch the movie and understand the cipher. Yeah. And
that's why I think I had to rush to see it too, because I knew that since they weren't giving me anything, I knew that meant that I was going to be dissecting this in my head from the second I sat down. That's what got me in the seats, like opening. Like I wasn't going to wait. I needed to see it immediately.
Right. So, we're already a little bit over, but so we'll kind of like land this. We'll land this plane a little bit for you, and Alex. I know we got to let everyone get on with their day, but again, the Who of everything. You got Michael Monroe's character, you've got her mom, you've got Blair Underwood, and you've got Longlegs. Really, that's kind of all. Right.
Played by
Kiernan Shipka, Sabrina
the Teenage Witch. Everything's so dark in this movie, but yes.
Who she plays, by the way, for everyone, is Longlegs. Again, being a serial killer, has killed multiple families. She's the only young girl who's ever survived. Normally, the father is possessed and kills everyone. So that's the what is happening. The what is these families are dying. There's this one survivor. Micah Monroe has these powers. She doesn't understand. She's getting these ciphers. And then there's like this doll comes into place because she finds one. Oh, fuck. That's so spooky.
No warning.
I was not ready for that. So she is having a weird time with her mom. Like her mom is like, oh, we don't talk about any of that. No one came to visit us. I don't know what you're talking about. Because Michael Monroe's trying to understand, like, oh shit, I think he came and saw me. And her mom's like, no one was ever here. I don't know what you're talking about, but she was. And then we start getting into the why of everything. And not as explained, I feel, Alex, right? And again, please jump in when I get this wrong, but essentially, here's what's happening, everyone. If you don't want this spoiled for you, this is what is happening. And I've been thinking about this kind of
it's
all
coming out
night.
on digital. I suggest people watch it. If you don't want it spoiled, definitely mute this. But
watch it in the daytime. Like if you want to just see the movie that we're talking about and understand, like, oh, okay, I could see why you guys really like this. Watch it in the daytime if you don't want to be scared. But if you really want to be, you really want to torture yourselves and be gluttons for punishment, like me and Alex, watch in the middle of the night with no one around. So
no one around, headphones on,
headphones on,
out, just like
the why. What is happening in this film?
So I'm jump scaring people.
Is you're just jump scaring people? I guess we could start with Nicolas Cage character and who he is. So there's a whole
Nicolas Cage character.
Nicolas Cage's character, yes, he is Longlegs, aka the man downstairs. There's a lot of references to the man downstairs. What is happening is Nicolas Cage is almost like the Herald of Galactus, but Galactus is Satan. And he is a doll maker in a past life. Osgood Perkins says he's a glam rocker. God damn it. The reason that he looks the way he looks is because he got really into plastic surgery and has always been worried more about like what he looks like and not who looks at him. And he's very disconnected. And so Satan comes to him with a plan. And again, this is all inferred. There's no, Tilda Swinton's not doing narration explaining all this to you. Like, what is happening is he is an incredible doll maker. He makes these dolls and he uses another person to get those dolls that are possessed by Satan into the home of loving and warm and kind families. And those families are infiltrated by a nurse, by a nun, who is none other than Micah Monroe's mom. She made a deal with the devil long ago when the devil and Longlegs came to see her, that she will be their new shepherd to bring in a new flock of murder victims, and in return, the devil and Longlegs will not kill Micah Monroe's character. So she is the person that is taking these dolls to these families, leaving them there. The doll possesses the parents and they murder them. And so that's why everything is happening. And
which doesn't explain.
It still doesn't explain anything. Yeah. And Micah, I think at this point, Satan kind of like let that go. And Micah Monroe's character is now getting close to the truth. And so I think what is implied is that Satan's like, she's got to go. So that's why she starts getting involved.
Yeah.
Do you want me to just keep rolling through this or do you want to jump in?
I'm fascinated and listening to your story, by the way. I'm sorry.
Does it make sense? Like,
no.
I'm just right? Okay.
Keep going. And hold on. I just need to do another jump scare. So.
Oh yeah. So that's actually the best look at Longlegs, by the way, for everyone. He does this thing. He goes, "Coco, coco." Yeah, I'm gonna practice this voice. Yeah. So Micah Monroe finds out that her mom was actually basically abetting in all of these murders. and was
Yeah.
taking the doll physically, because it's almost like vampires, like with Satan, you know, it's kind of old lore.
Yeah, you gotta let somebody in.
He's got to be invited in. So,
Before we get
Mike
to the end, by the
Monroe,
way, we should leave a little something for these people.
yeah, Michael Monroe gets to the,
Gets to a house.
Gets to a house that it is. Well, we said we were going to spoil it, so
But this is I don't know, man. But is this too much? I don't know. We're giving them literally every
I don't
step.
know. Yeah, okay, maybe not. But so that is you're right. I agree with you. That's the premise. And then Michael Monroe,
We get to see it unfold with her involved.
It starts to unfold, and she starts seeing it all for herself. And when she gets to that house, that's where we'll leave you. We won't tell you what happens there, but it's a pretty shocking final scene inside that house. But before that, I will say we do get one of the better moments with Nick Cage's character, where we see him talking to Micah Monroe in this interrogation scene.
Yeah. And that's where, like, this is again where I say that they come forward and they're like, okay, we're going to show you an idea you are totally uncomfortable with. Then we're going to show you something you understand. Typical horror movie. Girl goes in with the and then they pull it out from under you. Then they do this scene. They do the Clarice Starling, Hannibal Lecter scene, and you're comfortable again. You're
good, Dwayne.
So you're comfortable again. They give you another scene where you're like, I understand this. This scene is something I understand. And then you stop understanding it. 10 minutes, not even, whatever, 5 minutes. As soon as the scene is, you're like, okay, this is horror I understand. This is horror I'm comfortable with. We have the interrogation. I'm easy. Everything's totally cool. I get it again. I'm not freaked out. And then they're like, we're going to take that away. And we're going to make you uncomfortable as a viewer again, because we're going to say, you think you know what's about to happen. And we're just going to be like, nah, just kidding. Go to hell. Go get therapy. Go, you're not going to feel good again. And that's why I think is so brilliant about it, is that they keep like, you need a minute. You need a minute to breathe. Okay, here. Doesn't this make you feel comfortable? Yeah, you understand this horror. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he says, flame on. Yeah. And it's Chris Evans.
Yeah.
Hey, Dwayne, welcome back. No, but I kind of boiled it down to this, and again, we'll be done spoiling it, but like, obviously Satan's in the movie. I had figured it to be, why would any of this make sense to us? It's Satan. Why would you ever understand everything that he wants to do? Because he's Satan. And in this version of the film, he's just doing all this stuff for kicks because he can. And he's
literally, this is actual Satan.
I almost spoiled like the very end of the movie, but like the very end, like the way that it happens, you're like, oh my God, like, did this happen? What about this person? Wait, this person just left. What about this? And it's like, doesn't matter. It's like Osgood Perkins even says, God, sorry, Dwayne, I don't want to spoil too much of it, but like at the very end, right, something happens, and they ask someone asked Osgood Perkins, like, okay, so what about this character? Like, are these things gonna happen? And are these events gonna keep happening with this character? And he's like, I'm never making a sequel. That's not my problem. Yeah. I was like, I love him so much. He's such a weirdo, and you can just tell it in this film. And that's Longlegs.
Until Disney buys Longlegs. I mean, until Disney buys
90.
Yeah, until Disney buys Neon, and then Nicolas Cage. I also want to bring up one other thing that I brought up, is that to my friend who I went to go see it with, I'm like, you ever hear people making jokes about how when Colin Farrell was in the Penguin, when he was as the Penguin, it's like they put all this makeup and money on to make him look like that actor, that old actor who already looks like this. I can't remember his name. And I said, they put all this makeup on Nicolas Cage, right? They put all this makeup to make him look like this, when they could have just hired Marilyn Manson. I mean, come on, just put some lipstick on Nick Cage's character. He just looks like Marilyn.
I mean, that money. There's some scenes that Nicolas Cage is doing where he's moving his torso. Marilyn Manson is already missing a couple ribs. We all know. Yeah. So he's
As soon as
He's ready.
as soon as he came on screen, I was like, Marilyn Manson.
Oh, that made my stomach hurt.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's Longlegs.
Marilyn Manson was the biggest jump scare of the day.
Yeah, right.
God, I hate looking at his face.
But
well,
yeah,
everyone,
see it. I say we did spoil a lot, a fair bit of it,
I mean,
but we didn't give every moment away, because every moment of this movie is worth actually real time experiencing it if you want to be uncomfortable and feel true horror. But at the same time, like any good horror movie, it's also about it's making a comment, right?
Yeah.
It's commenting on 90s, satanic panic, on family relationships and everything like that. You could see those threads moving through it. But every moment of this, the tension, the silence, the loud noise, anything that happens, it's very intentional. It's very, very good. So even with everything we may have spoiled for you, definitely, it's not the whole thing. We still can't spoil the whole thing, even if we went through it step by step. You have to see and experience a lot of this alone in the dark with headphones on.
Yep. Well said. With that, that's Cuckoo. That's Longlegs. Both are very, very good films, everyone. We obviously really enjoyed both of them. They were like Longlegs. I kind of, I'm a shill. I like these like weird art house indie films sometimes, and like everything that I knew about it, I knew it was going to go in. But both, Cuckoo is very surprising. So I love being able to go into movies and then chat about all of them with you guys. So let's see. We'll be back next Saturday.
Hopefully.
Talk about a couple. Yeah,
We're gonna have another ear infection.
Yeah, that's right. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just dying. It's okay.
Okay. Steve Nara, hot take. He says, I just now learned what Barbarian was about. I strongly dislike that film. Ooh.
Oh,
loved it. Well, man, I wish I wish we were doing this show at that time. We probably would have talked the whole hour about that.
Yeah. And Steve Nara, again, not a big horror. You need the theme symbol spoon fed to me because I miss it a lot. That's fine.
I get that.
I get that. That's the thing with good sci-fi, good horror. There's going to be stuff that you need done for, like maybe that's the moment where you can say, okay, I want to know what this is about. But sometimes you just pick it up. Sometimes it's after your fifth rewatch, you pick up something. I still tell people I read Sandman over and over again. Sorry, Neil. I know Neil Gaiman's problematic, but I read Sandman like every few years, and I'll just be sitting there and I'll yell to no one. I'm like, oh my god, I didn't think about this. So, that's why I find like things like Longlegs deserve a rewatch.
Absolutely, yeah. So this is now on digital. Cuckoo is not out on digital yet. Longlegs literally just came out on digital, I think yesterday, right? Pretty sure it was yesterday. And the physical version, which I'll actually be buying, I'll probably be buying the Blu-ray of this. I just really enjoyed it that much. It's very rare where I buy merch for movies. And I bought, well, actually my girlfriend bought me this, but it was in my cart and I'm a coward. I don't know about you, like Alex, I think we're very different in this way because like you have a lot of stuff. I don't have a lot. Like everything that I own that's pop culture or like not clothes is behind me. That's it. I don't buy a lot of stuff. I'm not very cluttery, which is why people used to make fun of me at Sideshow because they're like, you don't have this, you don't have this. I was like, I don't like clutter. I don't want any of that.
I literally have so much stuff. I don't know what to do with it anymore.
I know you do, buddy. But we just, very different in that approach. But like, so when I buy a shirt for something, like I really believe in that movie and I really loved it. And like, I really want the, fuck, that's a great shirt, dude. I love that shirt. And this is one of those films like that I'll be recommending and talking about. I actually, oddly enough, I watched it last night and my girlfriend was out and some of her friends and I dropped them off and I was like, oh, I'll come pick you up whenever you guys want. Like, no problem at all. So I watched Longlegs and I knew what time they were going to be like done. So I set my alarm and dude, I was telling someone, I was like, I might need to sage this house because the timing was impeccable. But there's a scene with Longlegs and you see him and he's just like, hail Satan. And I woke up to that and I was like, oh shit. It was pretty sweet.
That's a great way. That's a great way to wrap up the night.
Yeah, it's like, hail Satan.
Yeah.
the little birds flying, but they're like upside down.
Yeah.
So
right.
everyone, thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you in a couple days. We'll see you on Monday where we're talking pop culture news and headlines. And whatever else is going on in our brain. Hopefully Daniel and Autumn are back. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell.
And if you see this movie, and if you go and listen, if you go out and watch Cuckoo, I don't know if it's still in theaters, but if it's out there, I do recommend watching it. I recommend watching Longlegs as soon as you get a chance to. And if you watch either of these movies, you watch both of them, after the stream is over and after you're done watching it, come back, comment, and I want to know what you guys thought about it here. Or you can go to our, you can go over to our Fandom Socialites page over on Facebook, Fandom Socialites, and you can tell us what you thought about it there, and you can spoil it for everyone you want there. But I highly recommend both of these movies to watch.
Yeah, both are good. Thank you, Alex. Thank you so much, everyone. We really, really appreciate you. Again, we'll see you Monday and next Saturday at, but up first is this Monday at 6 p.m. PST and 9 p.m. Eastern. Pop culture news and headlines. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. And remember to like what you love what you like, and don't be a jerk about it.
One more.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
God, I just...